Good morning, traders. I'm Dennis Dick.
And I'm Joel L. Condon. Welcome to Premarket Info.
We are still in the heart of earnings season here, Joel. eBay, American Express reported last night. Travelers, Morgan Stanley, Philip Morris, Verizon all reporting this morning. Google, Microsoft report tonight. And Johnson & Johnson and ExxonMobil are breaking out to multi-year highs. Also going to give you a trading lesson here today. Know where your out is. Joel, let's get to the market.
Made a new high yesterday, back up in the high 1450s, 1457.75 high. Just got over that by 2 ticks during the Globex session. So huge level there, folks, 1458. Need to get up and bust there in order to get up and make a new high of the move. Coming back on the downside, it's a tough call here. 53.75 is the low. Really don't have a lot of support under that until 48.50, which was the intraday low for yesterday. But how about the way the market held up with that IBM just in the tank?
Yeah, it really did hold up well considering IBM lost over, they were saying it was adding up to 80 Dow points yesterday. The overall market, though, seemed to shrug it off, and the market being quite strong and closing up on the day. I would never suspect that IBM could lose $10 or $11 and the market closes higher on the day. That is good resilience from the market.
Yeah, I kind of did like some anti-trading in the morning yesterday. I was short, and I'm like, oh man, this thing's got to come in a little bit. Yeah. Look at and then finally I just said, you know what, the hell with it. It's not going down.
Yeah.
And I got long. I put a stop in, and I just walked away from the computer. Because I was looking at the IBM, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm thinking the world's going to come to an end. And it didn't, but some of the other components in the Big Ten really came to the rescue.
Yeah, there was other ones that were breaking out. We had ExxonMobil and Johnson & Johnson breaking out to multi-year highs. We've talked about this Johnson & Johnson $70 level for the better part of the last 4 months. It had got up here in July. It had got up there in August. It sniffed up there in September. Finally in October, yesterday, finally takes out 70 and just was off to the races, did not look back.
Yeah, just a little lesson here for upgrades and downgrades. I mean, the street does have an effect on things, but how about Goldman cutting that to a sell last week?
It was the last week they cut it to a sell.
Yeah.
That was an oopsie. They must have thought that 70 level was going to hold. Well, it looks like they're wrong because this stock looks like now your classic breakout trade. I mean, in this environment, the breakouts aren't. It's not like 10 years ago where the breakouts and they just continue. You just don't know. Breakouts can become fakeouts and all kinds of funny things. The key is to know you're out. To know that if you're going to put the trade on and play it for a breakout, give yourself a point. So if you're buying it at 70.05 after it breaks out, say if it gets below 69.75, 69.80, I'm going to get out of the trade. Always have an out because sometimes it just doesn't work out. Those breakouts can become fakeouts too. Yesterday in Johnson & Johnson was not the case. It was a real breakout and the stock just continued to run.
Another stock that really added to the gains yesterday, and I don't want to relive the nightmare for you, but Procter & Gamble.
Yeah, I was saying even on the show yesterday, it was going ex-dividend. I had it in my mind it was going to be maybe like the AT&T before where it might open up near the highs of the day and then continue to go lower. That was not the case. It actually opened up near the lows of the day. It opened at 68.65, did get down to 68.55, so if you were quick, you could have got 10 cents out. I wasn't as quick. I shorted the open, I think 68.65 or 68.68, and I was basically a minute after I was starting to get underwater. In these cases, you want to be rewarded immediately. When a stock goes ex-dividend, it opens up 20 cents. You want to see sellers come into the market. If you do not, that's a signal that maybe this trade is not going to work out because it's a trade that a lot of other traders are alerted to as well. So you always want to be careful when it gets too crowded on one end that it could continue to run. I actually covered half of my position for a 10-cent loss. The other half I was stubborn on, and I ended up losing an extra 25 cents on the other half. So terrible trade for me in Procter & Gamble. It does happen. The key is to know where your out is. So I ended up covering it 68.78 and 69.05 or 69.10. So it wasn't pretty, but it did continue to run up. So I'm glad I covered it. It was a crappy morning for me just because of that one trade. But I mean, bad trades happen. It's just how you recover from them. We're traders.
How you manage them.
And how you manage manage your losers. Don't let your small losers become big losers. And realize when when you're in the wrong side of a trade. And how do you know when you're in the wrong side? You start
Right.
losing money. When you start losing money, then you know you're on the wrong side of the trade for the most part. I mean, it's tricky with a decimal. You got to give it a few cents and stuff. But this Procter and Gamble was not looking back. There was just buyers in there right from the get-go. I mean, Johnson & Johnson was taking out and breaking out to new highs too. Sometimes they move together as well. You had a little bit of defensive stock sector rotation. A lot of reasons the stock could be moving higher, but I think you did catch a few people that were trying to short after the ex-dividend day, just like the AT&T. When the AT&T worked, though, I was never even down a penny. I shorted on the open that day, and the stock came right in. So in this case, I was taking heat right away, so I'm already on the alert. When I'm getting red in a trade, I'm trying to figure out how to get out of it.
Okay, we got a slew of earnings to discuss here. We can't rehash yesterday's losses all day. What about Morgan Stanley here, a stock that was trading at 2008 levels not too long ago, back in July and August, and now it's knocking on the door here at
Yeah.
$20.
Morgan Stanley moving up 28 cents against 24 cents X items, so they did beat when you take out the one-time charges. 18.75 is where it's trading at right now, again, and it closed at 18.49, so it is up 25 cents here on 900,000 shares, so big volume here as well. I mean, going out to the charts, you look at the daily, we're starting to take out that high that we made back in September, while 18.50, we've taken that out now actually this morning, so
Yep.
it's starting to look pretty good here again, although sometimes, you see these things start to break out here and then they pull back and shake a few people out.
Did you see that spike down to 1643?
And Morgan Stanley?
Is that a bad
I think it
print?
just must
Yeah.
be some odd lot bad print or something early
No,
from this morning.
I'm showing some volume in it here.
I did not see that
Just a
this morning. I'll go
quick
check my
spike.
levels, but
Yeah, quick spike down.
I do have it
But
on the chart at 1643. That must just be some fat finger. I have show it too. I show that low too, 1643. That's insane. Never sell an $18 stock down 2 points, even if the earnings are a disaster for the most part. A stock as big as Morgan Stanley, there's no way that's going down 2 points, even if the earnings were a complete disaster. So I don't know what happened in that case, but that's somebody got a great buy down there. Maybe it gets busted though.
okay, key level to focus on this morning will be 1850, as Dennis mentioned. We have got as high in the pre-market as 1890, so there's probably some size kicking around up at 19. I don't know if you can see that high in the book. But the reason I like this 1850 level is, number one, it was yesterday's high, good level. Number two, it was a high back on September 14th. 1850 was the exact high. And then if you go all the way back until April 19th, you remember that day, 1854 was the high there. So it broke out above that level. I think it's good to go north as long as it stays above 1850. If it breaks below there, I think we'll work our way into yesterday's range.
eBay reported last night, and the stock actually got beat up on the initial report. They beat by a penny. They kind of raised guidance a couple of cents. It wasn't too much of a raise. But the stock absolutely got killed right off the hop. I think it got as low as 45.80. Joel will check that number. But
You are a genius.
I'm a genius.
Yes.
It got down to 45.80, but then just started rallying, and about a half an hour later was trading flat. Now it is actually trading up on the day. Closed at 48.20, 48.35 is where it's trading right now. So this thing had a wild after hours. So people got some great buys down there, but it's now trading up on the day.
Yeah, looking at the pre-market high after making that low at 45.80, it rebounded all the way up to 48.60. Now that everyone's calmed down a little bit here, you're getting a lot of consolidation around the $48 level. Pretty good setup here too as well. Last 2 days highs are at 48.48 and 48.69, kind of coinciding with that pre-market high. So you're going to be testing resistance there. If, in fact, you bust above there, you really got some real estate. I hate to say it.
Yeah.
Well, I don't hate to say it. Maybe you own eBay. Up to 50.
Yeah, there's not much when you start getting above that 48.5 area, because they had that big gap down day, or that big move down day on the 5th. So that's where it was trading up at 50.04 and got all the way down to 48.55 that day. So that day right there, what we say, when they move down quickly, they can move up quickly. So if you start to get above 58.5, it does start to open up a little bit. Also reporting last night was American Express. The stock matched earnings $1.09 against $1.09. Here's another one, sold off on the initial report. Joel figure out where that went down to last night. 59.24 is where it's traded at last night. It has not traded here this morning though. The spread is 58.57 to 59.50, so widespread. I'll tell you though, $60 looks enormous up here on the charts, and there is some institutional selling pressure there. So I'd imagine you run into some high frequency resistance in the 59.80s and 59.90s if the stock goes into rally mode. If it sells off, where did it get down to last night after hours?
58.04.
They really sold it off. Wow, 58.04.
Yeah.
They were getting crazy with their sell fingers there last night on a number of stocks, and I think some people messed up.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this chart yesterday, and I kind of called it the accordion chart, and just, I mean, every time it's gotten up into this area, 59.30 is the level that you got back up to mid-September, and then you have a perfect triple top here at the 59.70 level. So I don't know. I would just have a hard time, not selling into that 59.70 to 60 area. It doesn't look like they blew the doors off the numbers. If in fact it can get up above 60, you got some room to go. But I just don't like the way this just gets up here and just spikes down, on several occasions.
Yeah, and if you looked at the after hours action last night, it spiked down, came back up to about flat, but then was going down a bit again, and it kind of hung out around the $59 area last night. So it makes me tend to think that if this thing opens up or goes, it might pull back in as well. So I'm not very bullish American Express this morning, but who knows? We're not always right here, so we'll have to just watch the tape. Always use the tape and don't fight the tape. Verizon reported here this morning 64 cents. Everybody's coming in right in line. 64 cents against estimates of 64 cents. The stock is trading up 15 cents on the report. It's at 44.87, closed to 44.72. $45 is your first bogey I would use on that one.
Yeah, it's the spike in the pre-market. It got down to 44.23. Recovered back up to trade up to 44.90. That coincides with that two-day high that you had at 45 even that you mentioned. So that's good resistance. This thing is really, really taking a shellacking here after making a multi-year high at 47.32. Came down, found some support under the $44 level. So I really like that triple bottom there between 43.75 and 43.90. But maybe it wants to recoup a little of this break here, this 3-point break, and maybe trade back up to the 45.5 area.
Got to get through that 45 level first, and I think that'll be a big number for it. Travelers TRV reported here this morning too. They blew the number away, 222 against estimates of $1.61. So that's why the stock is up $1.50 this morning, trading $73. Kind of light volume though, only 8,500 shares. Closed at 71.38, so up significantly here. Joel, where's resistance?
There is no resistance.
There is no resistance. The stock's making all-time, or is this all-time highs for it?
All-time high, 71.38. Closed on the high of the day at 71.38. Someone had a little inkling of what was going on. You get some trades kicking around here around the $73 level, and that's the only level I can give you.
I can see size up at 75. If it really went into rally mode, I can see that's going to be some resistance up there, but that's $2 away from here, so not sure if it's got enough gas to get there today, but there'd be a little bit of resistance up in the 74.90s. Philip Morris, PM, reported too, beat by a penny, $1.38 against estimates of $1.37. Stock trading down though, $90.51. Closed at $91.85. We got a couple lows if you look back to the 11th and the 10th at $90.70 and $90.62. We're trading just slightly below there on very light volume, only 1,000 shares.
Yeah, very, very light volume here. You spike down to 90.51. You do have monster support at the $90 level. You had a $90 low on the 1st of October, and then a couple other lows in the high 89.90s and 89.73. So that's major support. If in fact it gets down there, I'd look for a bounce. Being down over $1, you have to use the range from yesterday, which is quite a ways away here, 91.83 as resistance. But really not much if this thing starts to go back up, there's really not going to be a whole lot in there.
Similar to the IBM, though, when you get that big close to a big round number, the high frequency stop hunters usually like to take it through the number if they can. $90 being the bogey. You got to think they would probably trigger a few stops if they hit an 89.99 price in there. So I wouldn't be surprised if they try to take it through 90. But keep in mind that 89.73 low that Joel said is actually just going through 90 right now as we speak. $90 is where it's trading at. So, but you start getting below that area, and then it opens up even more. So a little bit scary to play from the long side.
Yeah, actually, as wrong as you were about the Procter Gamble, I don't know if you traded the IBM yesterday, but I didn't think they were going to be able to get that thing under 200.
I got that one right.
Yeah, you got that one right. They did get that down to 198.55, and I just want to alert our traders to that level. 198.73 was the low back on September 10th. It got through there a little bit. See if you can make another bottom there, perhaps a little bit of consolidation, because I am very confident that someday IBM is going to fill the gap between yesterday's high, 203.40 away, someday, in 209.4. Of course, IBM they're going to come out and reaffirm guidance to like 2025.
So you're bullish Big Blue.
I'm bullish Big Blue.
Google reports tonight, stock trading down $1 here. Had a good day yesterday, though. It was up about 10 points. So right before, day before the earnings, obviously they report tonight. So you have another full trading session here before they do report. What's in store for Google?
This is, as opposed to, Apple, which is a $600 stock, and I guess because I do numbers on Apple every day, it's a little bit easier for me to get a feel for it. But, every time I think it's at 760, I think it's going to 780, I find it at 740. You just have to keep an eye on that low at 740. At yesterday's low at 740.26. That's going to be good support. When did you say Google reports?
Tonight.
They report tonight, huh?
Yeah.
So what way is the 50-point move going to be?
That's the one thing with Google you got to remember is that they can have some crazy moves. So if you want to go really outside, obviously keep an eye on is that the all-time high? Yeah, 774.38. And the low of the move was 730.71, the low of the recent move.
I think you got to buy puts. I think you do.
You don't like the Google, eh?
Well, I mean, I think
it's had a hell of a run up. If you're looking at this whole thing,
run up. It ain't gonna go. I mean, it ain't gonna go up 50 points, and it's not gonna go up to 800. And I could see this thing just washing people out, going back down to 700.
So you're scared.
First.
You're scared on the Google.
If I was long, I'd be getting the blank out.
I've got a few shares in my investment portfolio, but I'm in from a long time ago, so I'm not going to sell those. But I could always think about some puts just to protect myself. But that's a problem. Before the option or before the earnings, there's always a lot of premium in those puts too.
Yeah.
So.
What about the 775 call or something like that, or seven?
Right something.
Yeah.
To protect yourself. I don't want to get called away. I like the stock. I think long term this thing's going to continue higher. Short term though, who knows?
I know it's going to 1,000.
I think so long term. I think 2 years from now you're looking at this thing above 1,000. But I don't know. I might be wrong. A lot of things change. A lot of things happen. So
you're so bullish.
Not always. It's not always been the case. So I've been bullish lately, but not overly over the course of my trading career. So who knows? Microsoft reports tonight too. 29.70 is where it's trading right now, up 11 cents, closed 29.59. This stock, you got to keep an eye on those lows that we set there about a week ago when we got down to 28.80 and 28.87. That coincides nicely back with July 28.78. We had a low back in late July back there. So that's where you get some support coming in. I'll leave resistance up to Joel.
The stepchild of the Big Ten, Microsoft, just absolutely goes nowhere. You do have a nice formation, though, on the upside. You have a double top, 29.74 and 29.72. That was the highs from earlier in the week. So keep an eye on that area as we are opening up into resistance. You will find additional resistance in that stock at 30.25, which was the high on October 5th. Coming back on the downside, you got to keep an eye on those lows under the 29. Probably people be stacking their bids at 29 yesterday. Yesterday it only got down to 29.09 on the bad Microsoft news. So just hard. They'll probably come in and in line, and it will go to 29.50.
We're running out of time here, but one stock you wanted to mention was ExxonMobil. Made a new 52-week high yesterday at 93.39. Closed right on it too, right up near the high actually. Well, I guess the high was 93.54, but closed near the high, only 15 cents off. Is ExxonMobil can continue this breakout? It's trading down 20 cents this morning.
Yeah, there's one thing and when I was doing the numbers on this that I don't really like about this little pop up here. After finding support at 90.50, you've had two gap ups. Kind of the market kind of forced this thing higher. So as much as I think IBM is going to fill those gaps on the upside, I think ExxonMobil could definitely come down here and fill the gaps all the way down to 91.80. But that thing has just been amazing in the face of the way Chevron is sold off.
Yeah, Chevron obviously. Well, Chevron's been coming back too, though. Last two
Yeah.
sessions, same thing. Chevron's been moving back up, actually getting the high end of the old support. If you think old support becomes new resistance, that's right where we're heading right now. The old support area, like 115, 116 area, we're trading up there right now. So I think you still got to watch ExxonMobil as your leader here. So if ExxonMobil continues to run up, I think Chevron will get pulled up with it.
Okay, some closing comments though on the market. We are back up here in the mid 1450s. We've had a couple breaks down to the 1420s. Now we're back up here 1455.50. Are you looking for 1470 here, or are you looking for 1440?
I am really torn on this one. On my overall trading portfolio, I am basically neutral right now. Obviously, I have lots of investments still, so from an investment perspective, I'd love the market to go higher. But from a trading perspective, I'm kind of just torn here. I can't decide. Obviously, we're coming into an area where we made multiple highs in September, the 1456, 57, 59. You can just look at this 5, 6, 7 highs and 1459s before we eventually did break out in October and got up to 1466. But man, I just don't know here. You've had a nice run up here. We are into a little bit of a resistance area. I'm kind of sitting on my hands until I see if this market can start to break up above that 1466 area.
Okay, did some news come out on Apple or something? Because the
Well,
thing
the
is down.
Samsung, there was a
Oh,
Samsung
that's
thing
done.
last night that they lost the appeal to
Hmm.
Samsung, so Samsung's obviously going to be able to continue to sell their phones. So I think that was a little bit of it. I don't know something else. Yeah, it's just a judge denies Apple's request. Uh,
Okay. Hey, folks, if you Apple traders out there, keep an eye on 631 if it does get down there. Well, that's our show for today, folks. We've covered the whole gambit here, and we'll be back with you tomorrow.